Hey, welcome to Vice Grip Garage. In this episode, I'm going to be putting a vintage air retrofit air conditioning system in my 1974 Chevrolet C20 pickup truck. Never done one of these kits, so figured might as well bring you along step by step. Now this particular pickup did come with factory air, so if you're wondering why am I switching to vintage air, it's kind of simple, at least in my opinion. 98.73% of this stuff was bad anyway, so trying to find new old stock or replacement parts, when I was adding that up, it was getting awfully expensive. So why not just put brand new stuff in that's under warranty, and I can also save a ton of space under the hood here by getting rid of this old evaporator and blower and stuff like that. Get new controls in the cab as well, and the vintage air kit comes with all of that. This particular kit is a 73 to 80 with air conditioning from the factory. You can also get the kits for trucks without factory air, and they have kits for, I don't know, there's so many vehicles. You can go check. Basically, I'm going to grab the instructions. It's a big PDF. It has step by step all the way to the end. It even has troubleshooting once you fire it up if you're having any issues. So that's going to be nice. I got to find it. Let's see where to start. Looks like we're starting in the engine compartment, or in my case, lack thereof. Disconnect battery. Drain the radiator and remove it. Got that. Check. Evacuate the AC system. Nailed it. Remove the OEM condenser and dryer. Nailed it again. Remove the AC lines. I mean, I'm winning right now. Remove the compressor and bracket. Check. Evaporator blowers assembly. I think that's this windmaker thing over here. Do need to remove that. OEM heater hoses, AC lines, and hard lines. Back to nailing it. So basically, for the entire engine compartment, all we've got to do is get this here guy off, and that's where we're going to save a bunch of that room. It also says in here that the factory manual recommends that you remove the right inner fender. Yep, got that done too. Well, the guys got this officially stripped all the way down. The only wiring that's left is the go left, go right selector, column wiring, the beep boop where I'm going lights, windshield washer, and then the remnants for the door switches and the AM radio here. So this is obviously power ground, and then that must be ACA, whatever it is, accessorize, you know, when this is all the way back. So at this point, the construction say start putting in the ventilators and things like that. But I've got a little bit different idea. I'm gonna be doing some work up here actually first. Well, if you remember back about 3 minutes and 28 seconds ago, I was gonna leave this and just put this plate in and let her be, but I slept on it for about 28 minutes and 17 seconds and changed my mind, because if I'm going this far, I might also get in here and you know, a full rebuild. This is the plate that we've got to put on, and you can see how much cleaner and neater this is going to look, which I was talking about when we first started. But to have bare metal and some of the sealer and stuff like that around it, I decided I'm not going to stand for it. I've cut too many corners and had some regrets, like, why did I get the bratwurst without cheese? They were right there. I had to buy them anyway. So I don't want to regret not painting this. So what I'm going to do is just take a couple different flavors of cheek pokers, get in here and do some grinding on that. And then while that's drying, we can start putting the vents in. That's going to be good enough. I want to keep some imperfections in here because clearly right off the assembly line they weren't too picky there. I'm going to shoot some of this Duplicolor prep. Basically it's just a foaming cleaner, and it'll get all the grease and grime and stuff on here. Try to prevent it from doing the spiderweb stuff. Temperature is good, so as long as we get it clean, we should be okay. I looked up the paint specs on this rig here, 74, and of course there's like 6 different red oranges and a Gratian bronze or something like that. But when I looked at the paint chips at the paint store, there were only 2 that were really close, and the closest that I could see is called maple orange. So I guessed and got a can of that, and this is basically a single stage in an aerosol can. They'll mix it up with whatever paint code. You can find stores close to your body shops or something like that. They're not cheap though. They're about $20 to $50 per can. So I just got one. It's gonna have to work. But I'm gonna take this, and it should be close enough, and just kind of, you know, just, well, I'm gonna dig it in basically. But that way it's not gonna look kind of neat, but junky-ish behind it, because we got enough junk garbage going on over here, plus the other junkier things and stuff. So maybe it'll all, no, I probably should have just left it. A mistake. It was made. That's okay. I picked the wrong one of the 2. Turns out it does have a little more bronze in it. I'll be dipped. But sight being behind the guy, let's just make a change and keep going forward. No big deal. I'm gonna go black on this, and that'll bring in the floor pans that are new. It'll get rid of all this black sealant stuff on here. It'll match up that new block off plate for the vintage air, so might end up looking better. I don't know. Eventually a guy is going to paint this whole entire truck, but for now, kind of going for the rat rod kind of thing. Credit cards accepted now. Going to leave a lot of this really ghetto bodywork. Yeah, that's pop riveted tin off of a grain bin or something on there. Someday we'll bring it back to this color, and then it originally had the wood grain down the center, believe it or not. And I think the tailgate might still, does it still? Yeah, right there. So that's definitely going to go back on someday, but for now, is what it is. I just got to get it, you know, on the road. Can we do that? Working on the drinker side kick panel here. So this unit snips up in there like that. Wants you to take out the fresh door assembly. So if you got her on fresh air, this will flip open, you know, and air will get jammed in through there. But if you put it on recirculate my bad foot smell, that closes off and then you just get, you know, your cab air. Comes with this block off plate. I put some silicone around it. I don't know. I found this windshield and glass. It says waterproof. Might work, probably not. Got this box, by the way, from Hobo Freight. Seems to be working pretty good. The only one I had to pick up was some 14s, I think, from the Hardmore store, but cruising along pretty good. Next step is drilling holes and actually putting in that plate. That's when stuff, you know, we're getting serious. The defrost vents just drop in from the top. They're super easy. They just snap in place, where the OEM ones clip in from the bottom and you got to twist these little things. And then this is the fresh air block off. There's just a little bolt in here. Run that in, super easy. Run some silicone around that. And then we're on to the firewall block off plate. And I read on it, I don't know, 2.5, 2 3/4 times. For what I'm seeing, we don't reuse these 3 holes. The goal is to cover those up, cover this up. And we're gonna first hang this as a template to drill new holes for the system. So we're gonna set this in place, and basically we're gonna use this OEM hole and one down here kind of as a guide. I don't know, something like this. We're gonna run a screw in here, hold her in place so we can make some templates. Another screw. So this is what that's looking like, and you can see how much space we're saving and weight and how much cleaner this is going to look when we're done. I asked you to mark these holes up because we're going to be drilling these out. I also asked to mark up these so we can drill 3/16 holes here in a little bit to run some sheet metal screws in. But I'm actually not going to do that because I'm going to run self-tappers, these big number 10s, through all this. And I want as much metal in there to bite down as possible. So now I'm going to take this off and get these drilled out quick. Instructions on this are really sharp. I just wanted to verify that those 2 holes were supposed to be that close together. And I'll be dipped. We got the same thing going on. So those are the 5 main holes that I've got to drill out. I'm going to center punch these first so we don't walk around and punch one in over here. So that's what I usually do. And then you'll see those new ones we just bit in over here and there. Eventually this will be siliconed up, and then they also provide some grommets that are going to be going over this here. So this is all going to be weather tight, fellers. I touched her up with a flat disc and a little bit. I don't know why, just felt like it. Then I got the block off plate over here. I did put the grommets in first, and then I've got it siliconed. I'm gonna let that tack up just a little bit, and then I'll come back and put it into place. I also found black hardware that goes with this, so I'm gonna run my self-tappers in first, pull those out, then put the black screws in. Basically because I'm lazy, and I don't want to go back and drill those 3/16 holes. So disregard the way I'm doing it unless you don't care. Just jam the self-tappers in. But I think the black hardware would look nice now since everything, you know, looks like my liver. Easy. Look faster but easier. Let's snug those up so that silicone starts setting. We're on to the main ice cube maker machine. We've got to put some bracketry on in all the lines and O-rings. 2 brackets here. Hardware is already in the box, fellers. Right in this, you just back them out, put them back in. This one's loose. I'll show you why here in a second. All the constructions are really clear on what goes where and what to do, and they also come with all the O-rings, of course, and it has really nice instructions on how to put them in. You're going to want some sort of lubricant. I have actual O-ring oil here. I want to say be careful taking these caps off these lines, feller. They can be under pressure and hook a guy right in an eyelid, so keep them closed. I'm tightening mine up with the wrong wrenches, croissant wrenches. I gotta hold this side tight. Little trick here. The guy runs his hand really hard down in between the two. It's gonna hold this one still. And then you can give her a little arm wrestling over the top. And that's gonna snug that up. Seems to be working pretty well. I've got this one here to put on yet. And also this guy here. And then this one's got some goopy, tape, stuffy thing that's got a wrap around that. Here's your first look at the Wally, or the Bleep Blooper, or the Windows 98, or whatever it is. It's a computer box, I'm saying. There's some plugins over here. That's gonna go to the control unit, I assume. By the way, this is significantly lighter and smaller than not only this side, but look what used to hang out of the rig, which is now gone. Pretty cool. All right, I'm gonna finish this up really quick, and then we're ready to bolt this thing into the truck. This is definitely a two-man operation getting that unit in. Jessica's on the way to help, but I'm a man, so couldn't wait, jammed it in. I did take the grommets out, so I have a little more flexibility in there. But on the inside here, I just put my Ice Cube Jammer 4800 in here. You set them up like that, it held it perfectly. I could slide my spacer in on the inside, then just came out here and ran my bolt in. Got one more left to put in here just loosely. And then there's a bracket up on the top. One of those two brackets we put on. It's up in here. And we gotta wait until we get it leveled up in here. This way and this way and this way and this way. Which is gonna take me a minute because the front's on coasters and the rear knots. And it's tilted right now. So I gotta level the truck up. And anywho, this thing needs to be level. Then you run them two screws in up here, and then I'll come back and put these grommets in. Then I'd imagine at that point we're running the old hosilators to all the vents and stuff like that. And then my favorite part, digicals. Got the ducting in for the defrost vents. Here's a little trick for you here, fellers. This one I kind of struggled and put it on from the bottom there. And then my brain fired up for a second, and I just pulled the hose through the dash, popped that back out, connected it, then pushed it back down through, and that took 2 seconds. Now I'm working on the dash side. These just snap into place with S-clips. These little guys here, super easy to do. And then this piece is the tube that goes over to the captain's side and connects to the, you know, the venti thingy here. And I just took a Sawzall and snipped that off. And then this one's gonna go in there. And then once I get this back into place, we'll be able to connect that ducting. This is the one that goes on the bezel, you know, up here in your teeth when you're driving it. I'm gonna take some air and clean these up a little bit. I soaked this one in brake clean, so thankfully the air conditioning will smell like that forever. But it is clean now. That's nice. Before a guy finished putting the dash in, I wanted to knock out the wiring quick so I had more room. So I got all this out here, just hung up for now because, you know, I need everything else before I can finish that. But this really wasn't bad at all. I tucked everything away nice and neat in here. And the reason I did that is in case I ever needed to service this, I wanted it all right here, nice and neat. We've got the breaker, the relay, and then the control panel. That just actually screws in, comes over here, and all you have to do is just plug it into the main ECU controller box thingamajigger. And the same with the main wiring harness. It's super, super simple. We've got backlight over here and a keyed 12 volt. That's really all the wiring you actually have to do inside. And then outside here, One of these is like the compressor switchy thing, which is the blue. You've got two negatives, which is the white, and you've got positive, and these all go right to the battery, and that is basically it. The heater control valve just plugs in into the harness. It's just a clip, and that's done. That'll just sit in line right about here. So this is pretty much finished product now, and you can see how nice and clean that is. This will come over into the fender well and up to the battery. I think I'm gonna put it up here. What's going on, dude?
Someone's here to pick up a floor jack.
Oh, okay. Yeah. One of the final steps, use a template that comes in the kit there. And basically you snag off the back side of your glove box there. No one puts gloves in there anymore, by the way. And you snag on this new one that shrinks her up a little bit. That's going to give us more room to get this closed now that we've got all the digicals and controls in there and whatnot. So we got to throw this on and we're darn near complete. There we go. I think normal people would keep like insurance and stuff in there. I keep red vines and extra air fresheners. Well, that's it. This 1974 Chevrolet Silverado, it's got air conditioning now. Of course, I got to finish up the condenser, the dryer, the pump before we can test it out. That's coming pretty soon. And I have to say, fellers, even I was a little bit intimidated at first, but it's very simple. It's very easy. The directions are easy. So don't shy away from trying to put one of these in. And other than the drill bits, I didn't use any tools that a regular feller or fellette wouldn't have in the garage. While I was in there, I went ahead and replaced the speaker with a custom sound one. That's got a left channel and a right channel. I also put a retro sound stereo in it. That's got the blue teeth and the Alien satellite radio. Picked both them up from L&C Truck. And I also put a Dakota digital dash cluster in there. That replaced all of the old analog gauges. And that's gonna plug right into my Terminator X ECU with a little modulator, and that'll swing over those vittles right up to that dash for me. So I can go from that smaller 3.5 inch screen to full gauges and the stock bezel there. And it looks sharp, might I add. This is cleaning up, maybe a little too nice for a feller, but this is the way the lady wants it, so that's how it's gonna be. Coming up very soon, Jessica's gonna finish off this interior. We've got padding, carpet, custom seats, door panels need to go back in. The whole 12 yards. I would have said 9, but you know how budgets go. If you were here to see the vintage air installation, I hope I covered enough to give you confidence to do it. If you're just following the build, well, I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks guys for watching, appreciate it very much. We'll see you next time.